Hello there and welcome to the Girls Talk segment right here on Rapid Television. My name is Martha Alu, and of course, as always, we know that Wednesdays is pretty much a special time here in the studio because we have a conversation centered around womanhood. I know that most of the Wednesdays we literally drag the men, but for today it's important that we have this conversation. It's the holiday period, children are at home, and I hear that parents are going crazy. It's just 1 week, we haven't even started yet. But yes, today's conversation is taking a bit of tilt towards understanding people who are created different from others. Yes, we cannot all be the same, but yes, we're talking first about parenting. Parenting is often described as one of life's greatest joys, but it also comes with enormous responsibilities. For parents, raising children with special needs, that responsibility can become even more demanding. Think about having children that are all over the place, and then thinking about having a child with special needs that you need to commit to emotionally, physically, financially, and mentally. So behind every child with autism, with Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, dyslexia, ADHD, hearing impairment, or other developmental and learning differences, is often a parent navigating endless hospital visits, therapy sessions, school admission, financial pressures, societal stigma, which is one thing that, is still eminent in our society today, and that constant hope that their child will be accepted for who they are. Now, fortunately, many families still battle misconceptions and discriminations while struggling to access quality education, healthcare, and support systems. Today, we are dedicating the Girls Talk segment to exactly this. We are asking, what is the real experience of raising a child with special needs? What support do these families truly need? And how can society become more inclusive instead of judgmental? And I have two very beautiful women who are experienced, and they'll be joining us to unpack this conversation and answer some questions that we have. We have Mrs. Henrietta Ikediashi. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. She's a special educational needs and disability specialist. And we also have Dr. Hannah Akpan. She said I got it 90% correctly off air. She's the director of Greenfield's Pinnacle Inclusive School, Abuja, and a reading introversion expert. Thank you both for joining us on the conversation this morning.
Thank you.
How's the holiday period? Do we still have like kids running about the place? You run a school, you deal with children with special needs. How's the holiday season coming?
Okay. Yeah. For me, well, I don't want to tell you that I don't know the difference between school time and holiday, because there's this set of children that I don't like to give holiday to.
Okay.
Because imagine this holiday is gonna be 2 months. Long,
2 months.
Almost. So if I give them holiday and wait for them to return in September, some of the work we've been doing, we might have to start all over. Yeah. So it's better to gather momentum during the holidays, even if it's just for 1 hour every day, 2 hours, 3 hours every day. So I always have those set of children with me in school.
Okay. So, Melissa,
yeah, thank you. For me, I run an NGO, and a lot of parents have come to me. Though before they came, I had already designed a summer program for these children, and it promises to be a lot of fun, and having them around, it's because most of the parents are working. So how do they cope? Where you have some untrained nannies who don't really know how to handle them and so many other things, So parents just feel, oh, it's time for these children to be engaged, and it's a really exciting thing. We look forward to it.
Okay. Now let's talk about the concept of special needs in itself. We hear these oftentimes, and some people are still not fully aware of what it means to be a parent with a special needs child. So I would like to hear from both of you this morning. What does it mean when a person is called a special needs person, and what conditions fall under this category? So let's start with you, Ms. Henrietta.
All right, thank you. So just like the name implies, special and needs. When something is special, it shows there is uniqueness. And needs means there is a desire. So when we have children with special needs, what it simply says is that they have neurodevelopmental challenges. Some of them also have physical challenges. and having such, what you then need is having tailored interventions for these children. It's not a one-size-fits-all. And then we have different diagnoses. We have the ones with ASD, which is autism spectrum disorder. We have the one with ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. We have cerebral palsy. We have both the physical deformities. We have dyslexia, which affects the way a child reads. For ADHD, it focuses on, impulse and focus. For autism, it's a spectrum. Children think differently. For dyslexia, the way they process words, the way they process reading is way different. So when we talk about this, what we try to do is, find a way to celebrate their differences, find a way to bring in an inclusive education where none of them is being left out.
Okay. All right, let's hear you, ma'am.
Okay. For us in school, we see it as gaps, developmental gaps, learning gaps. Because you can actually see a child and everything is looking okay. But when a child begins to walk, as in like a 5-year-old that has already been walking, and you as the expert, you see the child take steps. From just observing children walk, I've gone to meet their moms that, excuse me, mom. I just asked some questions and then I raise their hope that, yes, someone is here that is seeing you and it's going to be okay. It could also show up in the way the child eats. So many of them are picky eaters. And then it shows even in the way they hold their pencil, their pen. And then you see, for me, if I go into a new environment and I want to check out children with gaps, I just go around and check how they write. In fact, that's the way my educational journey started. I just got into a school and then I started checking the children who were supposed to be lefties that are using right. That's another problem on its own because handedness is also a gap.
Okay.
When in the African culture, every child is meant to keep your left hand.
Is that a thing? Is that a thing?
Yes, it is.
Because they literally beat that left hand out of someone.
Okay.
I have a story about it. I grew up being left-handed.
Okay.
And then my mother would beat. And then they would cut. I would have lacerations. Sometimes they would put bitter leaf or pepper. And then in my mom's restaurant, they didn't know there was a medical doctor who was always observing. And the doctor asked my mom a question, do you want your child to be useless? That's the word. He said, do you know that left-handed children have their brain on the right hemisphere, while the right-handed ones have the brain on the left hemisphere? And that changed everything, just to buttress what
exactly. So handedness is an issue. Is one of the silent points that people don't consider. But if a child is brought to us in Greenfields, the first question I ask is, has this child ever, especially when I notice the way the child is walking, because from the way the child is walking, you can know who's supposed to be a left-handed person.
Really?
Oh, yes, sure. So by the time I observe that, of course, my target would be the mom or the dad that brought, say, please, has this child ever tried to do things with the left? Yes! He wants to eat with the left. He wants to pick things with the left. And we're always correcting him. And I'm like, that's where this gap came from. This learning gap stemmed from not being allowed to be themselves. Because like she said, the brain has 2 hemispheres.
Okay.
So as right-handed people, we think with our left hemisphere. The left-handed people, they think with their right. And you see that there's logic on the left and there's creativity on the right. You see a child is really good, will talk to you, will explain everything. But when it's time to write, when the pen has to meet the paper, you see that there's so much gap there. So it shows up in so many ways. And then also children who are born with some of the physical defects, and then the developmental gap shows up there. So we have it appearing in gaps, either developmentally or learning gaps. That's the way we see special needs.
Honestly, I'm enjoying the conversation already because in a society that's an African society like this, a child that gives with the left hand is often considered as disrespectful. In fact, there are many times when I did that. And the truth is, you cannot entirely beat that away from
even
a child.
Going to church to drop offering.
Exactly.
With the left hand.
Oh, you're disrespecting God. Oh, that's so disrespectful.
Not knowing that's the child.
Yes, it happened to me in a church.
And you go to buy something outside. You're giving out what the payment with the left hand, and a business person is saying they will not collect because you have given with the left hand. It doesn't make any sense at all. But yes, let's talk about why inclusive education is so important. Dr. Anna, you're an educator and you interface with children like this. Why is inclusivity in this aspect super important?
Yes, inclusive education is one of the, should be considered as one of the ways of closing the gaps. Inclusive education should be considered as one of the ways, the big ways of closing the gaps.
Okay.
Because I remember as a child, there were some people that were sent out of school. Not that they were sent out of school, they dropped out. And then they say, their brain is not carrying book
at all.
Let them go and learn work. You know, when I started receiving children, you know, as in admissions coming in, I started seeing that, oh, this is where it actually lays, that someone should be able to help these children close their gaps so that it doesn't get to a point where these children are asked to go and learn work. In fact, I had a child brought to us and the mom told me that, you see, this is my second son. He's very intelligent. He will be the professor of the house. And both of them, but the first one will be the trader of the family. He's going to be the businessman of the family. I listened to her. Then she said, both of them will still meet in America. While my second son will be a professor, lecturing, doing researches, his brother will be bringing in containers because he's going to be the businessman. I said, but that why?
He already has the plot, the entire plot
planned out. So I assured her that, Mama, give us 2 years and we will make you change this narrative about this your first son. She said, Madam, I have tried, I've done this, I've done that. And she said, it's someone that actually said we should come and meet you. And now you're beginning to tell me that my trader son will also be able to be like his brother who is going to be the professor of the family. And after 1 year, she was like, Papa, you gave me 2 years, I know, but you see, I think he can now move to secondary school. I said, no, ma, it was 2 years that we agreed on. And I tell you, the narrative has changed. Because with inclusive education, even a child that is maybe has Down syndrome, and then the speech impairment is there, but the child can talk, and then learning and then forgetting and learning again and forgetting, you will find out that if you go the inclusive way, you include the child in everything. There was a child we discovered through painting. The class, there were 10 in the class, and then one day I just was doing class rounds, just going around, and I found this work. Out of the 10 of them, there was one that was popping. And I was like, excuse me, who did this particular one? They mentioned the girl's name. All the classmates, you know. So imagine that we didn't include her in that work. We said, no, let her, you know, let's exclude her. We would not have discovered that this girl is so talented. Today now, from paper painting, she has gone on to painting t-shirts. She has gone on to doing batik. She has gone on to, in fact, she's just good. So inclusive education actually should be inclusive to close the gaps. Like, you see that closing of gaps, both developmentally and learning gaps and all of that. It is inclusion. It is in the including of the child that you would know. Okay, for instance, one of the children in our Great Minds Center, the first day we started teaching them to sew, he made a cap.
First day?
Yes, first day. As in, he made a cap, he wore it. We have the pictures. He was so happy. And I had to call the mom that, Mama, come. You have to. In fact, he had the best machine threading skill that day. The first day. He threaded his needle. He threaded the machine. And he made a cap out of the fabric he was given. They were just given to make straight lines, being the first day. But he turned his own into a cap. So I went and met the mom. I said, Mama, this boy, you have to register him in a tailor's shop. So that while we are continue what we are doing in school. He will be having, everyday experience. So inclusion is just the answer to close the gaps.
Okay, let's go to you, Mrs. Henrietta.
Yes.
Now, for special needs children, when we talk about cerebral palsy, it's almost identifiable. Hearing impairment is identifiable. But for a traditional African society like ours, conversations about dyslexia and ADHD, these are conversations that sound like, no, any Nigerian that say they have dyslexia or ADHD, they are just forming it. I've heard people say, oh, allergies. When did Nigerian girls start having allergies? Is online. People say that a lot, So talk to us about a dyslexic child and a child that is suffering from ADHD. What symptoms do they present? Because I believe that if parents understand this, they'll be patient with their children.
All right. Like you said, some of these challenges are asymptomatic. Yeah. But when you have a child with dyslexia, these are the ones the teacher will give a knock or load. I have been teaching you this all along. And then you are refusing to learn. So what it simply means is that there is a challenge in the way the child processes reading. Okay. The way the child, for instance, if you put a book in front of the child, the letters will be dancing.
Yeah.
The child might just see an image in that book. If the child is from Umuahia, for instance, a car would have driven the child to Umuahia. That's the simplest way I can explain it. So the way the child processes what they see is different. There's a whole lot of confusion in the visuals. A child with dyslexia sees a B and writes it as a D. Or a P. I'm sure you've seen some of them. Some will see a P and they write as a Q. So these are reversals. When they see SAW, so they can write it the other way around. Was. And then the teachers will start beating them. Are you not seeing what I am writing? Are you not doing this? Are you not, just punishing these children? But like Mrs. Atakan said, there is a gap. The educational system, how many of these teachers are trained to be able to assist these learners? Then the one for a child that is having ADHD, like I said, it has to do with focus and impulse. And there are different ways of identifying. The child in 5 minutes can stand up 10 times.
Busybodies. Those are the ones they call busybodies in class.
You too, they waka waka. Come on, sit down. Why are you restless? What's biting you? What? Because the teachers are not trained to identify this. And then the child might be needing movement breaks.
Yeah.
Just take the child along. And that's why I keep canvassing for schools to have learning support assistants.
Okay.
Because by the time you have 50 children in a class with only one teacher, do you understand? What are we doing to the educational sector? Do we want our teachers to live long? But by the time we have such, and the teacher is trained to be able to identify, it covers a lot of gap. Even parents do not even know. There's a particular book I am writing. It's something different about my child. And very soon I'll be publishing it. So with this, it just gives you easy ways to identify them. For instance, a child that is having ADHD or a child living with ADHD hardly sits, hardly focuses. By the time they write, in less than how many minutes they've lost, that attention. The attention span is just too little, And then by the time they have somebody sitting next to them, all you just need to do is put a flashcard. It might just be focus, You just put a flashcard. If the child wants, you can just flash it. You need a movement break. And then the teacher takes the child or the parent, because we always tell them that behavior itself is communication. And you have to learn the ABC of it. But if you don't understand the signs, I don't want to call them red flags. A lot of them are undiagnosed and they're in classrooms.
Yeah.
They are everywhere. They are in society. But if you don't understand these things, you would easily place a label on the children.
Okay. So is it possible for a child that is dyslexic and a child that has ADHD to be intelligent? Because these are some of the misconceptions that we have. Because they are dyslexic and they have ADHD, attention span problem, they cannot be intelligent.
All right. I'll give you a simple example with a child with autism spectrum disorder. The child was just 3, he's 4 now, when the mother reached out to me. She actually cried out to me and she said, will I ever hear my child's voice? Will my child ever speak? And in less than 6 days on the dot, I put her through the child's intervention. And then there's something called IEP, the Individual Education Plan or Program, where you follow the child's structured learning. In 6 days on the dot, the mother says, she sends me the audio. The mother says, A is for apple. The child says, apple. The mother says, B is for ball. The child says, ball. And everybody was surprised. And then I said something to the mother, which brings me to what the question you just asked. I said, did you realize that you were reading the alphabet? And the child was giving phonics?
Yeah.
I said, so never assume they are not intelligent. So it's the same thing. If these kids turn the world upside down, they tinker with ideas. These kids are super intelligent, but all they need is the right intervention, structured support. All they need is empathy, compassion, to be able to bring out the best in them. I believe there is no child that is dull in this world, regardless of their neurodevelopmental challenges. It still doesn't turn anything around. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't mean they are dull. All they just need is that gap to be covered. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's go to Dr. Anna now. Many parents fear that I know your school, attends to the needs of the special needs kids, but many other parents they think it's expensive because it takes a lot more time and attention from the school, the teachers, to care for a special needs child. But many parents say that mainstream schools won't accommodate their own children. So my question might be twofold. First, do you think that Nigeria as a society is equipped enough to handle children with special needs? Two, what do you think that mainstream schools can do to be able to accommodate children with diverse neurological developmental gaps?
Okay. So whether Nigeria is ready, I would like to say that we are more ready now than some years back. Okay. Why am I saying so? Because now the government has taken it upon themselves to look into special needs.
Okay.
In fact, there's a policy on special needs, on inclusive education. There is a whole department on special needs in the Ministry of Education.
Okay.
Yes. So the government has taken that step, and they've been training teachers. Though not, I can say the percentage may not be what it should be, but at least it's better than what was obtainable before now. Okay. Because I have attended some of the trainings, and I know the director of special needs, I know the deputy director, I know so many of them, and they've been interfacing with us, training us, showing us what to do, giving us some items to use for the children. So I think that is a good way to start, though that's not enough anyway.
No. Okay.
So Nigeria is getting there. That's what I want to say, because like 5 years back, I would have said something else. But now, because of my experience with the new developments, I can say that we've started the journey.
All right.
Then what should mainstream schools do? You see, okay, what they should do is this. First of all, if you cannot take care of that child, don't admit the child. That's the first thing. Schools should be honest. They should be sincere with the parents, with the families. They should not assure the parents of what they cannot do. That's one on the table. So if they're going to say, okay, because of the empathy, okay, what do we do? How do we help this family? If they really want to help the family, they should get the right hands. What do I mean by the right hands? There are therapists everywhere, and there are people who have been trained, rehabilitation scientists, we have speech therapists, we have speech pathologists, we have everyone that can help this child. So it's, even if you don't know physically where to find them, go online.
Okay.
If you go online as a school, you'll be able to connect with other people, because you can't be feeling that you can do everything. You cannot be a one-stop shop that you're claiming to be. If you're not, you can actually be a one-stop shop if actually you have everything on the shelf ready to attend to these children. But if you're not, go look for help, collaborate. This is what mainstream schools should do. And when the children come in, don't promise the parents heaven on earth. that don't worry, in no time, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. Like that parent that I gave 2 years, you know, I should have maybe been afraid that if I tell this woman 2 years, she will just go with her son. But thank God that she listened. Even after 1 year, she was getting, you know, like I said, no, remember it's 2 years. So this is integrity issue. So the schools should be sincere. They should tell the truth about a child. You know, there are some children that you receive in school and you cannot even tell the parents what's happening with the child. There's this story. Sorry. A teacher was having home lesson with some children many years back, like over 10 years now. And the boy started, Mr. X, my book, my letters are dancing. My letters are dancing. So he came to me. He told me that, Ma, yesterday when I went for a lesson, this child said, my letters. I said, so what did you do? I told the mom immediately. I said, you made a mistake. You should have come back to school, contacted the director, so that the director would know what to do. At that time, we had a psychologist in school. She would have contacted the psychologist to have a meeting with the mom and then know how to break the news. But you were so happy that he said
he learned something that he wanted to use almost immediately.
My letters are dancing. No, you don't do that. You don't take you don't just bombard the parents because they're already passing through so much. So the schools should be sincere, like I said. They should tell the truth about the child, no matter how it is. Like you have a child that is not doing well, you have midterm, and you have this the communication lines should be open. You should be able to tell a parent that this is what I discovered about your child. But you know how to say it. You won't just break the news because you don't know already if the parent has even noticed, but does not know what to do, or maybe has not accepted the situation that no, my child cannot be that, and all of that. I've got that although also on the part of the parents, they should be able to accept the truth that the school tells them. If the school can tell the truth, as in has the courage to say it, the parents should also listen. So bottom line, the question was, what should mainstream schools do? They should make the environment ready before receiving the children.
All right. Such interesting conversation. Thank you so much for being here with us. Honestly, the next part, while you were speaking, I almost wanted to just get into what role does spirituality play in dealing with children with special needs. Because I know that one of the major foundations of negligence when it comes to taking care of them is from spirituality. My child is not like that. You keep rebuking things that you could have used actionable steps. So maybe we'll just go to you, Mrs. Henrietta, to tell us about that before we go on a break.
Nigeria is a spiritual country. We are too spiritual. The things we should handle physically, we spiritualize it. You know, so we've had cases where parents would tell us, oh, my pastor, my imam said my child is a witch. My child is this, my child is that. And then we say, okay, bring the child for assessment. And by the time they bring the child, you know, because some of these neurodevelopmental challenges or special need challenges, like I earlier said, don't have physical traits, you know. So some of them might just be behavioral. For instance, the mother is talking and the child tries to mimic and the child says, nye, 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 nye. And the mother goes, why? I'm taking you to my pastor. And then the pastor is asking, what dream did you have when you had this child? Oh, I think the child is suffering from either spirit wife or spirit husband, or the child is a witch, or the child is possessed, as against you taking them for therapy. So spirituality in this part of the world has caused a lot of damage. Like we would always say, the fact that you are a spiritual leader does not make you a counselor. Yeah. Because so many people have scattered homes that are spiritual. I mean, in all religion, including the traditional ones, you know, have brought in a lot of divorces at home. And that is the way it is also when it has to do with children with special needs. Parents take them there, and because they are ignorant, the truth is, if you are not in the know of something, you can never be in the flow. And because they are being highly esteemed, they don't want to come down from their high horse to accept, in this area, I am ignorant. Yeah. Just like Mrs. Akpakpan said, that there is no one-stop shop. Although you can train yourself and have different experts or technocrats to make it a one-stop shop. But if it's not doable, just be very honest to say, oh, this is beyond me. Oh, I think you should refer the child to a place like this or like that, to avoid all these damages and all this harm that they cause to these children.
All right.
Yeah,
you want to add? Okay.
Yes, because we cannot actually outrightly cut off spirituality when it comes to raising children, whether they are neuro
divergent
or not. But what I want to add is that faith must go with works.
Absolutely.
So whatever spiritual aspect you're coming from, make sure that there are works that go with your faith. And that balance is what we are asking for.
Balance.
Yes.
Balance. Absolutely love that. All right. Thank you so much again for joining us. We'll go out on a very quick break. And while we get back from that break, we'll keep up with this conversation. Please stay with us. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. This is the Girls Talk right here on Rapid Television. And if you are just joining us, we have been having communications around the reality of children or parenting children with special needs. And today we have two very experienced people joining us. We have first Mrs. Henrietta Ikediashi. She's a special educational needs and disabilities specialist. Thank you so much again for joining us on the show.
You're welcome.
We also have Dr. Anna Akpakwan, and she is the director of Greenfield's Pinnacle Inclusive School, Abuja, reading interventions expert. Thank you so much again for joining us on the show. Now, one part of dealing with children with special needs that I think that society overlooks is empathy for the parents who deal with these children, because they can be a lot outside, sit in one place, you're in church, they're up and about, you are in a meeting, they are running up and down, and people just automatically think that you did not train your child well. That's why the child cannot stay at a particular place. So let's see some of the experience. What are the major experiences you would like to explore, for parents who just received the diagnosis that their child either has any one of these disabilities was spoken about, and what would you say to them?
All right, I would say that diagnosis is not a verdict.
Okay.
What it means is, number one, sit down, regulate yourself, accept the reality in front of you. Do not live in denial. And then seek assistance or support. I actually hate using the word seek help because of the stigma surrounding it. When you say seek help, it means the child is broken and then the parent wants the child to be fixed. So we're going to say seek the necessary support, and there's a study I carried out, and then I discovered that parents with children with special needs are more like people in a war zone where grenades, AK-47, everything is flying in their heads. And that's because society is not prepared. We are too judgmental. We are quick to label. You see a child running around and they go, Mama, BC, come, this is your kid, train them well. When the child is in the womb, the child belongs to you, but the very moment the child is out, it's for society. And so we ourselves will, and then you hear, pa, pa, pa. Everyone is beating the child. No one wants to sit down to really ask themselves questions. So empathy, compassion is really lacking in this part of the world. And we really need to bring in this cap. We need to wear this cap. We need to support these parents because it's not easy. For instance, the birthday party we usually plan seamlessly might mean a whole lot to such a parent. Don't forget, it's a full-time work for a parent. Society doesn't see it that way. Even some fathers will say, what do you bring to the table? I've had instances where a lawyer told me he wept when he annulled 4 marriages because one of the children or 2 are special needs, children living with special needs. These are the things we really need to bring to fore. We need to bring, and in all of this, there's no way you can talk about special needs without talking about safeguarding, which is everybody's, job to do, both in school, at home, and in society at large.
Okay. Thank you. You wanted to add to that?
See, the empathy. These parents are going through a lot. And one thing I tell my people is that, do you know that this particular child is someone's hero? This child that has so many gaps or so much gap in development or in learning, this is someone's hero. So I think that's the first thing that should be established in the mind of the caregivers and the teachers towards the child. It shouldn't be, hey, because the child is different. So the parents should know that you love their child, that you are seeing their child. Because we have a situation where some moms want to bring their child for help and the dads are saying no.
Don't want people to know.
Yes.
Okay.
So we have children who, although the situation is getting better anyway, and then there's something I know about that some boarding facilities with special needs children just receive children and the parents they leave. They don't come back for them.
Oh, really?
Yes, that happens. We have that.
That's sad.
Yes, I may not be able to mention that on air, but it's in existence. Because some of these parents, they have overload of sadness, of judgment. They are even judging themselves. They are feeling like there was something they didn't do right. That's why this baby came to their... Okay, let me tell you something. There's a story I have here. I don't know. I was pregnant with one of my children then. And then I went for antenatal one day. And doctors were whispering over my head. Scan.
The result of your scan.
The result of the scan. Not even the result, the process of doing the scan. I was there and they were like, this is LWB. This is congenital. They were just speaking some grammar over my head. And nobody really told me anything. Nobody told me anything. I don't know what would have been different if they spoke to me. They didn't speak to me. They were just talking to themselves and they were all writing. They were writing. Guess what? When the baby was born, the baby had low weight birth and the baby had a hole in the heart. That was the day I discovered that, so this were the whispers. But they should have told me.
You. I think it's your right to know.
Yes. Sure. So I think, I don't know if there's a way doctors discover if, in the womb, if the child is going to be special or not. If they should talk to, I don't know how they will break the news, but I think there should be a way. Do you know when I actually understood what was happening? One of the days I went for immunization, the doctor sat me down, hey, madam, no, that was late. Because already I was confused. People were coming to my house and looking at my baby are you feeding the baby?
Yeah. But that's wrong.
The baby was even 5 months. I was looking like I just gave birth to her. Do you get? So the information wasn't there. Some of the parents don't have enough information to come out. So they prefer their safe zone. They take their home as their safe zone. So they just stay there. So these are some of the experiences that they have. They can't keep up with doctor's appointments, counseling, everything, counseling their lives and staying home. These are some of the things that happen with them. They don't have a choice. Okay, I don't want to tell you that I lost that baby. Maybe if I had known
what happened,
maybe I would have changed some things, maybe during the pregnancy or something. I don't know. So there's lack of information.
That should actually have a legal repercussion on the hospital, because I think you have the right to know what the health or the quality of a baby is.
25 years now.
Yes. Okay. All right. But, now that you have mentioned this, there was a particular topic that was controversial online and a lot of people were talking. I think we even discussed it here at some point. It was about a certain YouTube couple who came out to say they discovered that their child was a special needs child while they went for scan and they decided to terminate the pregnancy. a lot of people had different things to say about
Hey.
it. A certain, influencer that had a lot of opinions about it, said that the parents didn't think the child was worthy enough to be born. And
Oh
so
my
there
God.
were so many other things. So I would like again to bring that conversation to hear what your perspective on that matter is. Let's start with Miss Henrietta.
Okay, with the things I know now,
Yeah.
I have learned not to be judgmental. In the Igbo parlance, they will say, "Ome madu, adiko mo osisi." If it's happening to one person, you think it's happening to a tree. So in translating it, I just gave a transliteration. But what it simply means is that empathy is far away from whoever is not the victim of that. If we want to look at it in the religious aspect, we would say, oh, they killed the child. It was an abortion. But if we want to look at it medically, some people would say it was just a quick intervention. Some people would always tell you, oh, the very moment a child enters, the fetus starts developing, there's already a heartbeat. So it is murder. So for me, I would say it should be subjective, not objective. I don't have such. But if I were to sit on that hot seat, I would rather birth the child. I'm talking from my own aspect. I'd rather birth the child and then give the child the necessary intervention. Early intervention is key.
Thank you.
I think I'll stop here because I know Mrs. Akpakpa has nothing else to say. But I've just given from my own perspective.
Okay.
Yes.
So, that's my story.
Yeah.
I was told that we should be ready to go to Ghana or somewhere else to fix that heart issue. But guess what? Guess what took that my child away? It was malaria injection.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Like a wrong, I don't even know. We got into the hospital and I saw the same injection that was opened yesterday. And that same injection was brought to give that child. On my way back home, it happened in the car. So there's negligence everywhere. But coming to the fact that whether the child should be better or not, like she said, early intervention is key. Imagine, like our little thoughts class, the creche. You know what we do there? We just observe every child that comes in. And if there are gaps, maybe the way the child is. Okay, there was one particular child that had an issue with his feet. And maybe if they are told, no, they are good parents. So assuming a parent will say, this your child is going to be deformed in the leg. And then they, but the child met us. And thank God for early intervention. And one of the minders noticed that this child is always sitting while others are running and playing. And I said, okay, let's do what we need to do. And we did what we needed to do. I said, don't tell the mom yet, because if this problem is not fixed and you tell them, they're going to, I don't know what's going to happen to them. So we handled it. And then after 2 weeks, the child started walking.
All right.
It was then I had the boldness to call the parents that, come, did you know that? No, first of all, after 1 week, the mom comes and said, what's happening? My son just keeps standing and he's refusing to sit. He stood for 10 minutes and he was so happy. I know you people are doing something in that school. So, bottom line, that child's problem was fixed. You see, like in the little thoughts class, like I started saying, you can find picky eaters as babies. You can find children who would otherwise have been mute in the little thoughts class. So once the muscles are still very tender and you start the intervention early and they are free. So and they get talking, they get playing, and they get being included just like every other child. So I think it's just to pray that you meet the right set of people. Instead of terminating that life, because every life has a meaning. There's a reason for every life that comes. So
At the end of the day, it's choice.
Yes.
And based on your belief. Right, our time is fast spent, but I'd just like you to answer one question, 1 minute each. We are going to ask about policies. What if Nigeria should improve something right now? Mainstream schools should improve something right now to help better the lives or improve the life also of children with special needs. What would your advice be? Just 1 minute each.
Okay. Like I earlier said, if you are not in the know, you cannot be in the flow.
Yeah.
And I don't want to believe it's only in extreme cases mainstream schools should reject a child. But if you ask me, 90% of the cases or scenarios, every child, regardless of them being neurodivergent or neurotypical, deserve to be in a mainstream school. So I asked the question earlier on. I said, is the government really prepared to support children with special needs? I was glad to hear when Mrs. Akpankpan said the government has been doing a lot, because I just relocated,
Okay.
And I asked the question, and the question is this: why don't we have this in our curriculum? In fact, if I were to be the Minister for Education, I would bring it in to the primary curriculum, the secondary curriculum, the university or the colleges of education curriculum. Why? Because children in primary schools also need to learn about empathy, on how to support these children, I know some schools in Abuja, there's a particular school I went, and they actually teach these children how to support them. So they support their classmates. They don't see them as deformed children. Rather, they see them as children who think differently, who are wired differently, I went to a particular government school, and then I went to the special needs department, and then they brought in a lot of children. And one particular one was brought in, and the teacher was saying, she's dyslexic. And then the teacher was telling me, there's something wrong with her. The child said, there's something wrong with my brain. And then I told her, I said, my dear, there is nothing wrong with your brain. You are only wired differently. I am wired differently. And she gave me a hug and refused to leave me. So the government should inculcate it into the curriculum. In 1 minute. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's go to Dr. Anna.
Okay. The government has started doing something. So my take, because there's already a policy on inclusion, so the implementation of that policy should be effected, as in that policy should be implemented. And the monitoring group, because like I said, we attended a training, they gave us some materials, and a monitoring group, including the deputy director, came to school, came to Greenfields to check which of the items we used, which one we didn't use, and why we didn't use it. So, you see, actually something is going on. So they should implement the full policy. And then the children, like in Greenfields, what we do is teach them leadership, teach them. So empathy is part of leadership. In fact, there's a particular class that one boy took one of the children as his own, primary 2. He would go with the boy everywhere. He would help him. He would do everything. So the children should be taught to accept everyone.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
The policy is still paper tiger.
Yes. So implementation is what we have concluded here today. Thank you so much, Mrs. Henrietta, for joining us on the conversation this morning. Thank you so much, Dr. Anna. We'll definitely have more conversations as soon as something like this comes up again. And to our very beautiful viewers out there, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. And just to remind you, our conversation today reminds us that every child deserves love, deserves dignity, opportunity, and a chance to thrive. So supporting children with special needs isn't just the responsibility of their parents. It's a collective responsibility for families, for schools, governments, and society as a whole. And just something for every parent working this journey. We see you, we appreciate your resilience, and we hope that today's discussion has provided encouragement and practical insight. Thank you so much to our guests again. Just to remind you, we are active across social media platforms on Facebook, on Instagram, on X, and on TikTok. It is at Rapid TV, and www.rbnradiotv.com allows you to connect with us from anywhere in the world. Please send the clip to a parent who needs to hear this today. Our YouTube page is at Official Rapid TV. Thank you so much again for being a part of our conversation this morning. Until next week on The Girlfriend Show, my name is Martha Alu, and I will see you next week.